points on the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in August 11, 2021, and the stock market is going to surprise tomorrow. And I got 3 stacks that I'm looking at coming into the rest of the week, but you are getting this CPI report, and even how we traded today, it was kind of hinting at some things. I have a full analysis that we're going to go over. I'm going to show you what is expected about 6 hours after and why this meeting is so important. There's a lot of different expectations for the year over year as well as the month over month, and that is what we need to talk about. But we also got some earnings after hours. We saw some real leaders today and a couple of more economic developments on the bond front as well as your infrastructure bill passing. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go over what happened in the market today, what we're looking at tomorrow, the plays, the keys, and then everything else for the rest of the week and rest of the summer. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/TheStockMarket. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life, and yes, we're going to tax everybody. Okay? Yeah? Hey, no, hey, stop, hey, come on, okay, go. Yes, then we are the place to be, and the most important thing you need to do, post your watch below, let us know what you're looking at, got any plays, comments, remixes, anything, post them below and source that info, shout out to chat, baby. So, right off the bat, as far as what we saw today, it was a little bit confusing in the morning. A lot of people were talking about it, even on Bloomberg. Halfway through the morning, a lot of people were not really understanding what the major cause of the market move down was. We were expecting Fed Mester to be talking and that she was going to say something about it. She is the most hawkish of the Fed chairs, and actually during the March 2020 decline, she was the only person who dissented the emergency rate cut. So a lot of people thought she was going to be hawkish, but she wasn't. The market was dropping anyways. Like, I have pre-market on, so it sees a little different, but the market started to decline, and people were really trying to figure out why. You saw the big tech stocks down, but you did see some performance. Most stocks on the Dow and S&P actually were up. You had more advancers than decliners. However, the NASDAQ did end down. It was a bad day for tech. And really, what it boiled down here, it was partly in the bonds, and that's where people were starting to suspect that that could be affecting tech. Again, think a little bit earlier this year, as the bond rates would kind of creep back up there, the tech stocks didn't do as well. And think about now, when we saw the bond rates come down, tech was able to kind of catch up to the Dow with that little re-rotation that we saw. So some people attributed the bonds pretty much breaking a key level, I think 1.37. That started to affect tech a little bit, but then you also saw pressure from a couple of industries. The global markets all across today, they didn't move more than 1/3 of a percent, 0.4, 0.5. So we didn't really have any cues to go off of, but the chip stocks were really, really down. Micron led the way. And then the vaccine stocks that were holding up, Myrna was one of the S&P leaders yesterday, but it was down 5% today. So that kind of weighed on it. And that ended up being the consensus among a lot of analysts this morning. But there still was a lot of outperformers. But overall, when you see it and put it all together, it's kind of neutral coming into tomorrow. Now, I have a breakdown of what to expect here for the CPI and why it's going to be important, but I'm going to take you here to the first pretty picture. You guys have seen me do this live, but I wanted to highlight the negative responses here just because of the last 12, you've had only 4 negative responses following the CPI. So what this chart is showing you is after the CPI comes out, what is the performance on the S&P 500? And this is documenting the 6 hours, so pretty much the full trading day afterwards that the release comes out. So if you look at the average response, you actually go down 1/10 of a percent. So it is usually kind of a neutral move. If it's a positive result, it usually ends above 0.5. And then if it's a negative, it's just around 1%, but it doesn't breach. And essentially, you've only had 2 out of 12 instances in the last year end up lower than 1%. And then only 1 instance have the S&P down 1.5%. The one where we dropped 1.5, that was May. And then the other one that you got there was in October of last year, but only one of them this year was negative. But overall, to get an idea of how much we're expected to move tomorrow, to get your ideas in place, it is a big event. It is going to have implications. It may span, or probably will span longer than one day. But as far as the report and how the market is going to trade out, you kind of got an advantage here, and only 1 out of 12 times have ended up in a 1.5% move on the S&P. Now, why this is important is because tomorrow's report is very, very key, and it relies simply on the expectations. You have a 5.3 expectation. It came in last time at 5.4, and that is for the year over year. We need to talk about that distinction here because some analysts are expecting a higher year over year print, but then a smaller month over month print. So that's what this chart is here showing, and this is part of the key here because over the last 5 months, this is the first time the month over month is expected to not go up as much. So think about it. You're at 5% year over year, but people are looking at what's going on month over month. So now some people are thinking here in the shorter term, this might be the peak here. So that's kind of the positive here. And analysts are actually expecting this to go down and even meet the level that is pretty much the median for expectations. But when it comes to the year over year now, that's where some people are getting a little bit weird, and it's kind of pointed towards a surprise. So I saw an article on this brought up by Bloomberg today, and it was saying how the bond moves are pointing towards a surprise on the year over year. And that is because of that recent move we saw. It's actually been our first 4 or 5 day decline in the yields in the last couple months. So it does kind of stick out a little bit. But the idea here is the longer term bonds are yielding a certain pace that prices into inflation, because whatever people are expecting to get on a fixed return, you got to factor in inflation in your real yield. So looking at tomorrow now, we're going to see as there's a lot of these expectations. Some are expecting a slight miss. Some are expecting no miss on the month over month. But essentially, whatever happens, if it does fall in line and all the estimates are met in the month over month, slight increase year over year, nothing too crazy, nothing above 6, then that would be taken as bullish because it would be signaling inflation is kind of topped out here in the short term. However, I will say that we don't know how the market will tie that into the Fed policy and whether they think that's more of a bearish or bullish or hawkish or dovish case towards the tapering. So based on that one report here, the bonds, at least on the year over year, it's expected to go a little bit higher. I think the bonds are saying a 5.9% print. So we will see tomorrow, but you're seeing the market impact. We haven't seen too many big moves. It usually doesn't move as much, and this is kind of pivotal, especially in the sense of what we've been getting with everything in the Fed. So depending on how this plays out tomorrow, we might see a surprise on our hands. Otherwise, it will play last week like we did with the jobs report. But coming into the news and events, the Senate passed the $550 billion infrastructure plan. This was good news, and it wasn't a sell the news. You saw a lot of companies like Nucor, Caterpillar, all of the ones, even United Steel, they all ran up, and now it's already leading into that $3.5 trillion budget, and they want to see how that is going to tie in. But remember, the House is on a break, so they won't really come back until September and make more moves, and that's when we're expected to get details. And the same thing applies with taxes. They're doing a little bit of a vote-a-rama, and they are rushing to kind of just see where people stand and get a quick vote. It's not really decisive. It's kind of a political thing. But even with that today, they kind of tease some of their plans there with taxes, and they are going to be talking about that corporate tax plan as well as the general tax plan in the budget. And one thing that came out today, it was regarding banks reporting your bank account details to the IRS so that they would have full disclosure of money coming in, coming out to better monitor and tax. So there's a lot of things going into it, and today was a very, very pivotal, important day. We've been looking at this infrastructure bill for a very long time. So where it leads into, that will be key, and we will see what happens with that. But that was one piece of news. Another one, Kathy Wood, she said she's keeping an open mind on China as far as the innovation fund, but she also did say that the valuations for China stocks won't come up quickly, and they may even go down more. So she had a little interview. They asked her about what's going on with China and how she feels about it. All she said was the open mind towards some of the innovation stuff, but she does seem a little bit cautious there. So we'll see how that one plays out. We have yet to hear more escalation this week, so that's kind of novel with what we've been seeing lately. So that was interesting. Norton LifeLock, they agreed to buy Avast for $8.6 billion. I want to see the stock tomorrow. We've heard this deal over the week, so that one's going to be interesting. Then coming into crypto, hackers have stolen $600 million in one of the largest DeFi crypto thefts, and even just one of the largest heists ever to be committed. So this had to do with the Polygon network. I don't know if it's the Matic coin. I don't know how that's playing out there, but it did affect crypto a little bit. But crypto right now is bounced back. It's doing good, especially after the Coinbase earnings. So that one was interesting. Another piece of interesting news, this is just from data that people are pointing out, and looking at the airline data and the seat capacity right now in China, they're saying that that could be a hint that the economy there is actually getting hit by Delta already, as they're starting to see that decline even year over year. So they were one of the first to recover, so that year over year number does mean a lot as far as China is concerned. Coming back to a little bit of politics here, the Texas county wins a court overriding the governor's mask ban. So there was a governor in Texas, he said, nah, you could wear masks, we're banning the banning of not, I don't know how it works, but essentially judge says you can't do that. But now on the other hand, with Texas court, the Supreme Court in Texas said that police can now arrest Democratic lawmakers who fled the state about a month ago in efforts to block that voting bill. So we will see how that one plays out, but it does tie into what you're getting with now that budget bill, because they're looking to do the reconciliation process, meaning they could pass whatever they want, but given they have a slim majority, you need all 50 Democrats to agree on everything. So if someone doesn't like something, essentially they could hold a lot of control here. So it's going to be interesting. The politics haven't been affecting the market lately except for those bill passings. And again, a lot of people are keeping their eyes towards September, because that's when we're going to get more details from everything of if we're going to get a new Powell, all the way down to the outlines in the writing and language of any tax bills, corporate tax, any of that stuff. So there was that. And then Amazon, they lost their case against New York over a COVID probe of their warehouses. They try to appeal the government coming in and looking at their pandemic practices. They lost that. So want to see how that plays out. It's not too big, and they're in a bunch of lawsuits, so we'll see how that plays out. And then Coinbase for earnings, the stock didn't move much, but they beat estimates on both ends, and they had a notable addition to the institutional clients. They said they added over 1,000 institutional clients, so that's probably good for the overall crypto space. And then they even said that they are providing services to Elon Musk, SpaceX, and Tesla. So now we know what broker he uses. That makes things a little interesting. But to end it here with the Fed Evans spoke after hour. He's the president of the Chicago Fed, I believe, and he said that he expects substantial progress to be met later this year, but he did say he would like to see a few more employment reports. So he was kind of a little bit more cautious. He didn't seem as immediate as some of the other Fed members that we've heard from this week and last week, but he is kind of following in line, but he seems a little bit more flexible than not. So we'll see how that factors in coming into tomorrow. And any other Fed people, again, you're going to get, I believe, 2 or 3 more speaking tomorrow, so keep your eye out for that. But other than that, we got the CPI tomorrow. We have our work cut out for us. You got a little bit of the politics in the infrastructure bill. There is a lot going on, and where it goes from here, people might start positioning to get ready for the end of the year, so I hope you're ready. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stocks that I'm looking at. Well, actually 2, and one's not a stock, but the first one I want to look at is a play we've been documenting all week. We already have it, but Walmart, they are breaking out now, and I did not make the play free yet. We'll go over it, but I think the real opportunity is kind of with what we saw today. There was a lot of green and a lot of Dow and value names, kind of the defensive or the more economical, non-growth related companies. They did very good, so it's kind of creating a mini market shift. I think it will be decided upon with tomorrow in the CPI, but I'm seeing that one as an opportunity, and the fact that you got earnings an extra week out, I think it could get a little bit more of a move. That's why I would have made it free today. I have a decent sized position, and it did go up a lot, but I was like, it is moving a little weird, but I'm taking the gamble, and it will depend on the market, because if Walmart slows down, you've seen that slow down, those premiums will come up given they haven't moved in a while, and they have stayed pinned. So as far as the play, this is the same one I'm holding. I got the September 160s. I am looking to make them free before earnings. It's worth $700 now. They're up 66%, but this is what I was talking about, and then we brought this up a lot today. If you come to the options here, you will be able to see that they really haven't moved much. Even the one that we have right here, it's the 160, but you're seeing now it's kind of the first time it's moving up. So this is what I want to wait for to see how these play out. A lot of the premiums are starting to kind of get some steam, so it just depends really how far out of the money you are. So you could kind of see the opportunity, but also at the same time, some of that momentum slows down or that earnings premium dissipates, it could fade away. But that's what I'm seeing as an opportunity kind of on both sides. But you got a nice little window of the market moving in its favor as well as leading into earnings. I want to see how that one plays out, but that's going to be the first play. As far as the second play, I want to be looking at Boeing, and we made that play, I think, the beginning of this week or last week. Those plays are down a lot. They're still down 60%. Put in $100 $40. They're worth about like $50 or $40 now, but I may want to double dip on it. I'm just going to keep my eye depending on if we get part of that market shift. Boeing is going to be included in that, but they're moving out of that earnings zone, and that earnings was a positive surprise. So I brought this up yesterday, but you saw how it moved today. Again, it's kind of looking like Snapchat, just not at the top here. So this is what I'm saying. It's getting back to that earnings level. Still puts them in a pretty good downtrend, but if it could kind of break out here and neutralize it, it could be an interesting one, or at least for the trades. And that's what I'm saying. Those premiums have declined because they're further out the money. So some of the closer ones still may be expensive, but there is overall just theta hitting that chain considering last week everything else. So I want to see how that one plays out. That is going to be the second play. And then the third one, a little surprising here, but crypto. So you can apply this to Mara, Riot, even Coinbase. I am going to be watching Coinbase for sure tomorrow. I want to look for an earnings continuation, even with the premium and all of that, but I'm liking the report that they give. I think it was actually very surprising, and they're even guiding up for how many people they expect to be using it next quarter. The institutional investors that we see from the earnings report, I like it, but I'm also liking crypto in general. That little hack today probably wasn't good for it, but I think you're going to get good trading opportunities, and then the CPI and the infrastructure bill today, I think they could act as catalysts. Again, we've used this as a pseudo-inflation indicator, so I am going to be looking at that, and I did buy more Ethereum Classic. So we will talk about this one on stream. A lot of people have talked to me about this. Again, none of this is a recommendation in general. I have always said I will let you know when I buy more. I've waited from that 3-month drop here, so I threw a little bit. I only threw about $5,000-$6,000, so nothing too crazy, but considering we bought at some higher prices there, that should be nice for the average. So I want to see how crypto is tomorrow, and we're going to be watching Coinbase in general. But now as far as everything else, like I said, Coinbase is going to be a fun one. Nucor, our contracts expired 1 week too early. They went crazy. Going to be watching that tomorrow. Again, you saw how those contracts traded, so it shows you something about the company. I don't think the opportunity is over. Not in the sense that we missed it, but I'm going to look for a frog is what I'm trying to say. So we'll watch them. Watch airlines. They did good today, and I think it could be a delayed reaction from yesterday or a bet on kind of the industry stocks in a way, but that was interesting. Even CCL, all of them went up. Myrna, I think they dropped even more after hours here, but this is definitely going to weigh on the SPY considering that move that we saw the last few days, so I'm going to be watching those in general. You've been watching a flip-flop with the vaccine stocks. NVAX went up today. Some of the other ones went down, so watch them. Watch Fubo. This could be a great earnings continuation. They beat earnings and they guided up, so a lot of people are going to like it. This one has been a hype name too, and considering some of the reports from like Netflix and all that, you know, it puts them in a pretty good situation here, so Fubo is looking quite nice, so watch them. Walmart, like we said, it's even going up a little bit more after hours, so that will be a fun one to watch. And then Roblox, they got some news with KSI announcing a show. I thought that was interesting, but same logic from yesterday, kind of with how things are shaping up with everything. I think they're kind of in a good middle here, and there has been a lot of good earnings in the past with the gaming company, so I think this one is looking solid, but it didn't move too much today, but you understand how big this company can move. You've seen it, so watch this coming into the end of the week. That one might get excited. Then Coinbase, like we said again. Then banks, definitely watch them tomorrow. There might be a play. They literally have just rocketed up, some more or less than others. If you compare like JP Morgan to like Wells Fargo or even XLF, some are still at the top right now while others need to kind of claw their way back, but they were a leader today. And if you notice the strength in any industries, apply that to how you're analyzing the market tomorrow, and especially after the CPI. If we get a big move on the bonds, I'm expecting the bonds to move more than the market tomorrow, so depending on how that plays out, you will see. But we brought this up today. Take the 1-year chart on TLT, and then we could even compare it to the 1-year chart on XLF. You'll probably notice something. It is a direct inverse, so the banks usually benefit there off of the higher rates, so just keep that in mind. That's why it'll be key to watch tomorrow. Going to be watching Mara, any of the crypto stocks. ZEV, they got news today. It's an EV stock, but they did a partnership with a EV bus company that's backed by Berkshire, so a lot of people took that positively. That one got a lot of eyes in the morning. We kind of forgot about it, but it's nice to see it hold up, so that was key. CRM announced a business streaming platform, but didn't really help. They got hit with all the tech stocks today, but watch CRM in general. AMD didn't do as bad as some of the other chip makers, but they got hit in that chip route, and one piece that did come out, there is a 20-week lead time now on some of the chips, so the chip shortage is kind of coming back again, so it's going to be interesting to see how it played out. We could see the stock during that time. Again, they really didn't do as good, so it does change the trajectory. I am still holding that premium play, so we talked about it. I'm up 9%. I was up as much as 39%, but remember, you guys saw I was down $3,000 on this play. Again, it had a high risk, had a high probability, then it went against us, but that probability in closing there by expiration still remained tough, so I will be monitoring this one. Again, it gave me a lot of trauma, so we'll see how it is at around 50-60%, but watch them. Same thing, Sam. We were looking real good this morning. This one came right back to our strike price. That could have helped a lot. They announced that they're partnering with Pepsi to make Mountain Dew alcohol. I mean, I don't even know what to... Yeah, it's crazy. But watch them in general. Still holding that play, and that one is a premium sell where I am still down on it. So I think it still kept going today. Yeah, down another 14. It was looking good today, but down $3,500 still on that one trade. Again, I'm pushing it till August, and just like the AMD one, you'll see how it is. The SAM is a little bit more risky, so we have different opportunities. So we're just going to go through that and see what happens. But for me, I'm going to wait till the expiration to see what is going to happen. That is the key there. So watch them. And then Upstart could be good for a continuation tomorrow. They killed it on earnings. And then it looks like Uber is dropping a little bit after hours. We'll see what that happens with that. Someone posted in the comments. But then finally, TLT, this is what I was saying earlier here. You haven't really seen this 5-day consistent drop. You saw it a little bit in the beginning of July, and the beginning of July was somewhat volatile. Same thing kind of coming towards the end of June there, but other than that, we saw it a little bit in April, but now this could eclipse it depending on what happens here. So it's been a while since you've seen this move here. A lot of different implications, a lot of different things going on, but the one thing, like I told you from the beginning of the week, watch the dollar. That is now reaching that 5-month high here, and I think they're moving out of place because depending on what we see here, you may now watch the bond catch up to TLT if TLT starts sliding more. So essentially, that's where they all kind of start to move in tandem. It's getting a little tricky here, but overall, there is a lot of data, and don't underestimate between September and the end of the year, there's a lot of key timelines and what people are waiting for. So the rest of this month in summer is going to be interesting. So I hope you're ready, but that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need you to remember, if you're not playing to win, you're guaranteeing the loss. But the Cole loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.